Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
The Healing Through Love podcast with host Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson would love to acknowledge Global Glamping Charities Incorporated for generously supporting this podcast. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all of its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org. The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. In episode 59, Bennett shares with us how she educates and empowers women to reimagine what is possible in life.
I talk a lot about food, and I talk a lot about, getting people to record what they're eating, exactly what they're eating. And then you go, well, if you were to eat that and then exclude the butter off of it or the cheese off of it, take dairy out, for example, with vegetables, there's not a lot. We usually take out vegetable groups versus taking out one vegetable. I mean, nightshades are one thing that a lot of people have problems with. But then other people have problems with green vegetables because they're high in sulfur and they give them gas and wind.
Yeah. And what about FODMAPs too? So even some people have challenges in and around those.
But what we understand from FODMAPs is a lot of those are processed FODMAPs. They're not necessarily from plants. Yes, garlic and onions and that sort of thing. But it's about how they're processed.
The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to the Healing Through Love podcast. I'm your guest, Sharlene Lynch from sharlenelynch.com. Healing Through Love is here to help victims of survivors of domestic and family violence find their way back to living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. We interview experts and survivors who share their personal stories and offer advice to those who've experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their healing journey. As well as the Healing Through Love podcast, we hold annual Pamper Days here in Adelaide, South Australia, for survivors of domestic and family violence, where local businesses come together and pay it forward by providing their services and resources for the day to give survivors a much-needed day of indulgence. Think day spa on steroids. And we're so proud to say that as of this year, we've gone global and we're reaching out to sisters to lock arms globally and move forward and create Pamper Days in their proximity. So if that sounds like something you want to do, reach out to us. We have another training session in August. We're freely sharing this information so together we can raise the frequency of the planet. And we're looking for organizations who have similar values. So reach out to Healing Through Love. Now, every week we have amazing guests, and this week is no different. We have Bennett. She is a clinical nutritionist and women's health expert who specializes in helping women live their best lives by truly understanding their minds and bodies. The two are connected. She has a philosophy that says health is more than just what you eat, and that is so true. After years of being sick, Marianne was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure she'll actually walk us through and tell us a little bit more about that. And that was in 2011, which kickstarted her passion for natural health. Frustrated with the doctor's lack of options for healing and disillusioned by the medical system, Marianne studied nutrition and natural health at the university at the age of 50. You wouldn't know that she's only 51. No, that's not true. She's going to tell us how old she is, I'm sure. She is another sister who is over 50, just like I am. Marianne completed her bachelor's in health and science and nutrition in diet, I'm going to get it right, diet medicine in 2018. Sharlene, and this initiated her passion to help women like herself jump off the medical roundabout and find ways so that they can, live the life that they want to live and have this beautiful roadmap to a long and healthy life. Welcome, Marianne. It's lovely to have you here today. Hello.
Thank you for having me, Sharlene. I'm so excited.
It is such a blessing to have you in our proximity. And yes, wow. So first of all, could you explain a little bit about fibromyalgia? Like, would people know it's something they have?
It's what the doctors call a multi-system illness. When the symptoms are so wide-ranging, they really don't know what is going on. So it can go from muscle pain and fatigue, insomnia, chest pain, joint aches and pains, not being able to sleep, digestive issues, nerve pain, you name it. You can have there's about 45 different symptoms, and you can have one of many or all of them. And I had many of them.
Wow. So, and I understand your frustration with the medical industry. I've had my own interesting diagnoses of things that are gone wrong and the bucket loads of pills they hand you, which is interesting that most all of them have a side effect, which in some cases is actually worse than the medicine themselves. I can laugh because I'm now at the other end of it all and don't have those challenges. But yes, and it is serious when you're going through that and your only option is medicine. But I love this. You talk about a roadmap. So take us on your journey of how you got to where you are.
Well, after having discovered that the doctors and Dr. Google were just not going to help me heal, I just started a quest. I just said, at 45, there is no way that I'm going to stay sick for the rest of my life. I had 4 kids. I had a couple of teenagers still at home. I had 4 grandkids. And so I started talking to people. A naturopath told me, look at toxins, look at what you're being exposing yourself to. But by then I'd spent 20 years in the cleaning industry. I was exposed to toxins. I looked at my diet. People told me to give up sugar and coffee and alcohol, and I did all of those. Well, maybe not the coffee. But yeah, changed my diet radically, but I felt like I was taking one step forward, 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards, because I really wasn't getting anywhere. I saw natural health practitioners, just about everyone you could name, and they really had no idea. And so I thought, well, what else can I do? So I actually had an advert on the radio. It said, come and study nutrition, like come and learn how to heal. And I'm going, wow, that sounds like me. It was the year I turned 50. It was about 3 months before I turned 50. And I went along to the open day on the Saturday and went, within an hour, I'd signed up on the dotted line. But the scary thing was, as I drove home and then went, oh my God, what have I done? I hadn't studied since I left home 16 and pregnant. I had no idea what I was doing, but I had this determination to heal myself because I didn't want to stay sick for the rest of my life.
Wow, that is so brave that you would be in that position to feel your intuition and take action on that, even though in the face of it, it looked like, was this really a smart decision? But congratulations on following your intuition. And now this is what you do for a living. So you guide women through, is it just specifically fibromyalgia, or do you help them in lots of different areas?
I help women with many different chronic health conditions. Fibromyalgia is just one of them. I mean, it's something I know intimately because I've experienced it, but any type of chronic health condition. But what I've discovered also is that women don't have to have a chronic health condition to need my services, because what I've learned to understand is that women don't know. It's not what they know, it's what they don't know about health. It's what they don't know about their own bodies, and they don't listen to the signals. Women get signals, or humans get signals, a long time before they get chronically ill, and they don't listen to them. So I teach women to listen to their bodies, to understand how the mind-body connection, because there is a distinct, and learn how to nourish themselves with food, with relationships, with self-love and self-healing, so that they can thrive for the rest of their lives. Isn't that what we all want?
Yes. Yes, we want the fairy tale. We want the ever after. We want the income. We want the lifestyle. We want the love of our life. We want the holidays, the grandchildren. Like, the list is endless of what we want. And yes, we can have it when your health is where it needs to be, because nothing works if your health doesn't work. You certainly can't travel if you've got irritable bowel syndrome, and you certainly can't, if you can't manage your anxieties, you can't get on stage and have a conversation in front of thousands of people. So yes, and yes, we do need to take care of that. So it starts with a journey. The journey starts with a level of awareness. Is that what you're saying, Marianne?
Because what I find is a lot of it is, as I said, it's not what they know, it's what they don't know. It's education and awareness around, health really isn't that hard. I think the biggest thing that I have to overcome is that the women that I work with believe and are conditioned to believe that chronic illness and getting aches and pains and all that is just a normal part of aging. Well, I want to go, hell no, it's not. It's not. I want to break the mold and break the myths that that's the case. You just have to step up and learn about your body and learn how to listen to it and learn what it needs. It's telling you what it needs. You just don't know the language yet. You just have to learn the language of your body.
So having that level of awareness and being able to see or feel or understand the signs so that you can connect to what it is that your own body's intelligence is telling you that you need to do to move forward. Is that right?
Absolutely. I call it mind body nutrition. But that's not where I started. I started at the nutrition, worked on the body, and then worked on the mind, and understood that was not the roadmap to doing a CAD, because I realized that if I had worked on the mind first, understanding the mind-body connection, understanding my emotions and all the things that I'd been through in my life, including domestic violence, how they had were still impacting my health at a cellular level. So you remove those negative emotions, and you can then learn how the body works, and then learn how to nourish it, and then learn how to heal. So I've just flipped it on its head. What I did, I've just flipped it around and gone, that's the way I did it, but that's not the way that it works best. Flip it on its head and go, let's work on that mind connection first.
I love it. Okay. So it's, first of all, having some level of awareness so that you know that there's something that's not exactly as it should be. Not taking for granted these aches and pains and things that happen as we get older. They're not necessary. That's part of an old paradigm. That's not how life needs to be. There is a brighter future. And then the next step is leaning into understand the separation between the mind and the body, or understanding how they work together. Is that what you're saying, Marianne?
Understanding the connection. That we're intimately connected. Nothing in the body works in isolation. It is it's all connected. I mean, we call our gut our second brain. It's because they are cool. And understanding that we spend only only about 5% of our days in that conscious. That's the conscious part of our conscious. But a lot of what's happened to us is unconscious, stored in our unconscious. And if we can remove those stored negative emotions and those still beliefs and behaviors and conditioning that we get used to, it can actually have a profound effect on the rest of it. And I only learned that in the last year and a half. I did all the other stuff first, and went, oh my God, it was just like mind-blowing.
Yes, I hear you. So one of my favorite tools is definitely my journal. It's like almost my best friend. And I do you journal, Marianne?
I absolutely love journaling. I call it brain dumping.
It's so true. And it gives you the opportunity to have, again, as you're saying, to lift that level of awareness so that you can see that there's an issue, and any of those patterns of behaviors that are seeping through in our language that are created by our mind's eye, and we can lift that level of awareness to it, and then we can do something about it. And you're right that as a woman who's 56, I hear a lot of my friends saying, that their feet hurt, but that's normal, and my hips hurt, but that's normal. I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be. There is another way. So you've tried lots of different foods. Do you find that there are foods that you would suggest to people, or is it really about individuals?
I believe it's individualized. I mean, for me, I've discovered 7 years ago that I was celiac. I'd probably been celiac my whole life. I'm dairy intolerant. I'm grain intolerant. I also try to stay, to have a low histamine and low amine diet, which means, only very moderate amounts of animal protein. And I also am oxalate intolerant. I have all these food intolerances. So for everybody, that's going to be different. Some people want a plant-based diet. Is that better for you? Not necessarily. I look at people's health all the way down to their genes. So you can see if someone is genetically predisposed to not actually be good, meat is not actually good for them, or plants, not altogether all plants are good for them. So all completely individualized. I don't believe there's one size fits all when it comes to any diet.
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to find. So my body reacted first of all to meat, and I just was like, oh, this isn't really comfortable. And then I became a vegetarian, and now my mind's like, I'm like one of those vegetarians, the painful ones. But it was my body that reacted first. I'd be fascinated to find out if it is a body reaction or if it's a mind reaction. Either which way, I love where this is spiritually for me, not eating animals.
Yeah.
And even if my body's supposed to eat meat, I don't know if I would. We were playing a game the other day saying, okay, you're going to die tomorrow. What are you going to change? Would you decide to drink alcohol? Would you drink alcohol, coffee, or eat meat? And my answer to all three of them was no. Yeah. So it's not about being a good person or thinking it's the right thing. For me, it's just they're not part of my identity anymore. Yeah.
And I think you said the thing. It's that you're listening to your body. You identified that it's at some point it didn't feel right in your body eating meat. So when you identify those things, people don't listen to those signs and signals. Those are some of the very first signs and signals we get from our body, is that we eat something, we feel a bit off, we feel tired, and we go, well, it's just life, and we'll just get on with it. But looking at those things intimately, you can actually pick out those things, or just taking them out and going, oh, I feel better. Hello.
The trick is, though, Marianne, figuring out which of the things it is that you need to give out. If you have a look at, so we had baked potatoes last night for dinner. And so that's not just a baked potato. There's butter on there, there's sour cream, there's cheese, and then there's a whole different variety of kale, and then cut up cabbage and a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well. Like, what's the culprit? What's the thing? So when you say you've eaten something and you're not feeling amazing, you're still, unless you separating out your foods and only eating one thing, how are you in a position, Marianne, to figure out what the problem is?
Well, I talk a lot about food, and I talk a lot about, getting people to record what they're eating, exactly what they're eating. And then you go, well, if you were to eat that and then exclude the butter off of it or the cheese off of it, take dairy out, for example, with vegetables, there's not a lot. We usually take out vegetable groups versus taking out one vegetable. I mean, nightshades are one thing that a lot of people have problems with. But then other people have problems with green vegetables because they're high in sulfur and they give them gas and wind.
Yeah. And what about FODMAPs too? So even some people have challenges in and around those.
But what we understand from FODMAPs is a lot of those are processed FODMAPs. They're not necessarily from plants. Yes, garlic and onions and that sort of thing. But it's about how they're processed. But it's also about the gut health. People that have problem with FODMAPs, people have problem with foods, can often not ever have considered doing anything and considered looking at whether it's actually the health of their gut. Everything we put in goes in through there. And if that ain't working properly, it just shoots out those signs and symptoms at 1,000,000 miles an hour, whether it's IBD, IBS, you name it, people can have it. And so it's identifying if you're eating foods and they're not agreeing with you, and you take them out and then you put them back in and you go, well, I can't cut everything out of my diet. I mean, I have people come to me, well, I only eat like these 5 things because everything else, mate. And I'm going, well, that's probably because your gut needs fixing.
Absolutely. So, that's a complex thing as it is to know, because every body type is different with how it loves food. Like a perfect example in our house is that my Ayurvedic means I need heat in my food. So I need hot food. So it has to be hot, and I like hot drinks, and it has to be spicy. Like, that's what my body yearns for. David's the opposite. He likes things to be cooler, including his cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and even his food needs to be cooler, and the spice level needs to be further down. So we've got such a huge difference. So we obviously cook food that's a little bit more bland, in my opinion, not in his. And then I add extra spice to it when I'm eating it. But it's fascinating. So here's two people, we're almost the same age. He's 60, I'm 57. And it's definitely, there's more to it than just your age and what are you doing. It's definitely, there's other things to contribute to what foods each person needs to be eating.
Yeah.
I love it. But what we both love is we both love pickled food, to the point that it's like a lolly for us. So in between our first course, so we had soup as a starter and then baked potatoes as our main course, is that we were eating pickled onions in between, because we just love pickled food. Pickled cabbage, like anything that's pickled, we just we love it. So I know that that's really good for your gut health. Yes, and it's not good for everyone's gut health, is it, Marianne?
No, because what people eat it when they don't have good gut health, and it's anything that's pickled or fermented will feed the bad bacteria. If you've got an overgrowth of bad bacteria, you put fermented foods in, that'll just give you a bigger bellyache. It won't make it better, it'll make it worse. If they're great for stimulating the good bacteria, but most people don't have good gut health.
Yeah, it is a bit of a trick, isn't it? So, we think we're taking the thing that's going to make us better, but if you don't have that good bacteria in there to begin with, it makes all of the difference. So, what are the signs for people to know whether or not they've got that good bacteria or bad bacteria? Is it what you were saying before, the bloating, the discomfort?
Yeah, a lot of these those bodily signs and symptoms, gas and bloating is after eating, and a lot of people experience waking up in the morning and by the end of the day they feel like they're 6 months pregnant. That's just a sign that your body's just not digesting your food. Other signs are those signs where you eat certain foods and they just make you feel terrible. That you think, oh no, I've got a food allergy or a food intolerance. No, it's that the gut is so unhealthy it just can't digest them properly.
Yes, and there is a little overindulgence. We go to the movies a lot. It's one thing that we both really love to do. And I'll get the giant popcorn, which is so not good for me. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it. So I don't do it all the time. But yeah, so there's also overindulgence as well. I'm a licorice lover. I love the texture and the flavor of licorice. There are limits to the amount of licorice that any human should really eat, just quietly, even if it's coated in chocolate. It still gets through. But yeah, the one thing that I do notice at 56 is something that I didn't notice earlier in my life, is that I'll get up more frequently to go to the toilet in the night time. And I think part of that is I'm still drinking fluid very late in the evening, but I'm not eating. We stop eating at 8, but I'll still have, I might have a soothing tea or something. But anyway, fluid after 8 o'clock, I notice that means I'll get up a little bit more during the nighttime. But I go straight back to sleep, so it's okay, and I don't mind. And I still love my cup of tea before bed. But they're all herbal teas, ones to make you feel calm and that sort of stuff. I love it. That is such a journey, Marianne, and that two are so closely connected. And I think about when I was very unwell as a human, is my body was unwell, my mind was unwell, but what do you fix first, your mind or your body? So I do think, though, that when I spent more time, effort, and energy on my body, it gave me that more connection to my intuition to help me fix the head. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. I'm going to go, let's have a look at your body first, and then on the way we can fix what's happening in your head. I don't know, Marianne, have you got your own opinion? Do you think one has to happen before the other?
Well, what I've experienced with working with clients for the last 5 years or so is that you can help them try and help them fix their body. But if their mindset's in the wrong place, if they are unmotivated, or they just, one of the first signs that there's something going on emotionally is they just can't stick. They just can't do the things long term that you ask them to do. They really struggle because life is hard. the emotions, they're just in have such bad habits. I mean, one of the things is habits, but they can't change. They have all the greatest intentions in the world to do the things you ask them to do, but they are so emotionally overwhelmed and burnt out from life or tired from life is that they can't. So if you can remove those emotional like almost like traffic jams, what I call them, you can actually help them to actually take those steps forward with actually doing the stuff that will help them with their health.
I love it. I love it. Now, Marianne and I were having a chat before we pressed play today. And one of the things that I love about how she serves people is she does hyper personalization. So it's not a cookie cutter approach with her. She spends time, effort, and energy to find out exactly what your particular challenges are. And as you just mentioned, your series of bad habits that you bring to the table and what it is that you're expecting as your outcome. And does a roadmap for you for health that has the mind, body, and soul connection. And that's very unique because a lot of the programs that are out there are a cookie cutter approach, whereas this is definitely designed for you. And unlike many other programs, this is person to person. This is not where you're sitting there watching a series of videos. You're getting quality time with Marianne where she can check in and find out, do a pulse check, find out where you are, what you're doing, and what you need to do to move through. In her toolbox of techniques, it's huge. And she knows exactly where to point you to help you move forward. So it's beautiful. I love it. I love the roadmap. And I love how you're helping women move forward to have that beautiful mind, body, and soul so they can step up and be everything that they want to be. I love it. Oh, now, how do people work with you, Marianne? Can you explain that?
How do they work with me? I offer a free, what I call a free roadmap discovery call. So we can then ask, they can chat with me about where they are with their health, where they are with their life, what is it they're looking for, and I can then talk to them how we need to, because there's always a health, because it's so individualized, there's always that health assessment component, because it does come down to we assess your health. So they can book in and have that free 30-minute call with me while we can give them the steps and go, well, this is what your roadmap would look like. And, this is how you can work with me. It's a 6-month program. So it's a 6-month commitment to actually health recovery. So it's let's not just take 5 minutes. It's not one consultation here or there. It's a really deep dive because you need that 6 months time frame to actually start the healing process physically and emotionally, because people often have been sick for a very long time.
And there's all those patterns of behavior to unpack as well, and to link, the food issues with what's happening for you on a metaphysical and a mental place, so from your mindset space as well, and how those two connect so that you can unpack those. And then you can, when you've got that level of awareness, you can make different choices about how you're going to move forward as well. It all has to start with that level of awareness, though. I love it. So beautifully spoken. And we've got that link to the 30-minute discovery call for the roadmap. It's in the show notes and it's also in the show description. That's also on our YouTube and also on our SoundCloud platform as well. I love it. I love it. Okay, we're almost out of time, and I reckon I could talk with you for ages, and that's okay. I think we'll have you back as a guest for another time as well, and you can take us through a little bit more of your roadmap. So people can work with you and they can have this one-on-one session with you. And you've noticed that the best way to do this is for people to work for that 6 months so they can have that extended, that real transformational experience so they can step into that new level of what's possible for them. So yes, and this has been such a journey for you, and it's not finished. The journey's never over until we're in the grave. So there's so much more to come for the next level of you. I'd love to know, where do you see your business in a year's time? Like, where would you like to see yourself and what you're doing?
I want to take this. I want to be able to take it and do it on a high scale. I want to be able to scale it so that I can help more women. I want to take it around Australia. I want to be able to be facilitating workshops with thousands of women where they can get it. We build their basic roadmap in a workshop, a whole day workshop. Well, no, I've got a 5-day retreat in on my vision board. That's my long-term goals. It'll be a 5-day retreat. We take women through the process, and then we then can continue on after that through the 6 months. It's just going to be it was life-changing for me, and it's been life-changing for the clients that have worked with me so far. I just can't wait to do it for hundreds of thousands of millions of other people.
I love that. You know what? I'm a firm believer in seeing the big picture, that when we can reach forward to a much bigger goal than we normally would think of, then it gives us an opportunity for that level of expansion. And the little things that happen in the way are just like pebbles on the ground rather than the cliff faces that they used to be. So that in itself speaks to your mindset, Marianne, and how you're an avid believer in your own mindset and how you need to up-level that as well. So wow, that's congratulations. I love it. So again, listeners, today we've gone through some fascinating bits of information in and around not just your mindset, but also what's happening with your body and how those two are connected, and the beautiful roadmap that Marianne takes you on. Now, that link to connect with her, I highly recommend. You know, even if it's not about not feeling amazing, even if it might be about that you're not where you want to be, because it could be that this is gut related and it's just that you're not reaching into that level of intuition, and you've got to have a healthy gut to have intuition. The two of them are connected, and Marianne can help you move forward with that. I love it. So take advantage of her very generous offer for that free 30-minute call to have a look at working and moving forward. I love it. Now, on a leaving note, Marianne, I'd love to know, what are your words of wisdom that you can share with our beautiful audience today?
I would say, no matter where you are, whether you're stuck or whether you're just looking for direction, just don't stop. Just don't stop looking for what it is that lights your fire. Because that's what I've done. I've spent my whole life going through life and going, well, I don't know what I want. And when I discovered it, it's almost like the fire ignited under me, and I just can't stop, because there is so much to learn about yourself and about your body and about the world that will just give you that drive to want to actually then take that on. I always say, when I help one woman get her life back, to get her health and be the best version of her, it has a ripple effect. It ripples outwards. Be the ripple. Start your own ripple.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. So that's a goodbye today from myself and Marianne. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.